I have no idea how this is going to go. I'm super hungover. Alright, welcome back to Let's Talk Nonsense. This is your host Caleb, and with me, as always recently, is my co-host Frominator, Fromandu, Fromanchu. How are you?
Pretty good, man. I'm ready to get this shit started.
Yeah, me too. I'm, as you know, you were here, super hungover today, so this episode is going to be very low energy. Our other co-host, Kayserian, is not with us currently. He said he had some family shit or something come up, so he won't be here. But this episode's probably the last episode we'll put out below 1,000 downloads, and that's super exciting. If we hit 1,000 downloads, we're gonna try to do a special show where I'm not hungover as shit. And we'll put a lot more energy into that show and effort. But really, I mean, this is one of those days where we would have just not recorded, but we told ourselves, you know, when we started this, that we were going to pick a recording schedule and a release date, and we're going to stick to it. Just, you know, for the audience's sake, so that, you know, we have a regular release date. Normally, you know, I'm the type of person where I don't like to do something unless it's just at its best. But I mean, really, this is a podcast. It's here for us to have conversations and hopefully entertain people. So I'm hoping maybe you guys out there listening will get some entertainment from whatever conversation's about to happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of work, you know, sitting here talking to you.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's hard to find people to do it.
It is.
You know? I think our main topic for today is supposed to be moving. So we didn't really have a lot to research on that. I mean, it's mostly just personal experience.
Yeah.
Not really a topic I would have brought up or thought about, but hey, you know, we go out and we tell people to tell us what they want to hear about, and they said moving, so I guess that's what we'll talk about. Do we have anything on Shot of News today, or do we...
Well, like I was saying earlier, there's a couple of things, like the midterm elections are coming up in 2 days, so make sure you go out and vote. There ain't no sense in not. That's the whole point of having a democracy. Let's see, what else happened? Oh, there was a yoga studio got shot up in Florida.
Yeah.
Over the past couple of days.
Apparently another MAGA shooting, just like we predicted.
And apparently he had a long list of domestic disputes and threatening shit on his social medias about hurting women, and women are the lesser of the sexes, and blah, 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 blah. Let's see, what else happened? There was some stuff that Trump said about using the executive order to try to override the birthright citizenship in the U.S.
Yeah, I posted a couple of things on Facebook about that. It's the 14th Amendment, am I right?
Yeah, I think so.
And,
sounds right.
You know, I'll see if I can find it here. Again, you know, I'm doing research. This is kind of the old days of Let's Talk Nonsense, where I'm sitting here like looking stuff up that we're talking about as we're talking about it. Yeah, so the 14th Amendment, the very first thing it says, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without the due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. There's a lot of shit to break out here, and clearly, obviously, anyone that has listened to the show knows I am not a constitutional lawyer. However, just plain simple English, the one thing that's missing here that I think is causing a lot of this, like, oh, well, technically we can do this to people, is that it says no state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge these rights or privileges. And it goes on and it specifically says state. And they're like, okay, well, we're the federal government, not the state.
Yeah.
But wouldn't it make sense that if they are a citizen of a state, they are inherently a citizen of this nation? Like, is it possible to be I don't know. You know, if you do know, if you're listening and you do know, let us know on Facebook.
From all the lawyers that I've seen, of course, keyboard lawyers, online lawyers, whatever the fuck you want to call them, people who say that they're lawyers but could just be lying through their asshole. From what every one of them's been saying online, there's no possible way that he can use an executive order to do this. I mean, there's no legality to it.
He does have help because Lindsey Graham, or whatever that fucker's name is sponsoring a bill right now to go through the legislative branch to figure out if they can take it away that way. But like in my mind, it's just like
they would have to amend the Constitution. That's the only legal way for them to get by with this.
And it's so scary because they control basically every branch of our government right now, the Republicans.
Yeah.
And now that they're on this kick, you got this caravan coming up from Mexico, and they're trying to whip everybody up into some kind of fucking frenzy. Oh, it's an invasion.
What's all that about anyway?
Well, so I've done a little bit of research. I haven't done a whole lot. Once they reach the border is where I really want to start covering this, because right now it's so fucking politicized with these midterms coming up that you listen to Democrats and they're like, oh, it's all women and children. It's just they're all angels and everything's going to be fine. And we're just monsters that are treating these women and children terribly. And I don't believe that. I believe there are probably some really bad motherfuckers in this group. Yeah. Then you have the Republicans that are like, this is an invasion force. We've got to send, they are sending troops to the border.
Yeah.
They're preparing for what looks like armed conflict with people who are not carrying weapons and are not in uniform. On one side, you got just a pure fear and panic that they're trying to whip up in their people. And I know there's a lot of people scared by this. I'm a little bit worried about what's going to happen myself. And, being afraid doesn't make you racist. Being afraid doesn't make you, stupid or ignorant or whatever. But I think the people on the right, the ones who are in charge and are whipping up this fear and panic frenzy and all this shit, I think they are racist. Like, I don't see any advantage in any situation of whipping up fear and panic unless you want confrontation.
Yeah.
And their leader, and for the leadership of the Republican Party, both on the executive and legislative branch, to be calling this an invasion is absolutely asinine.
So is it a literal caravan of people coming up?
Yeah, there were, I think, about 5,000 or more that were in it originally. Most of them are fleeing, I want to say Honduras. I'm going to look that up and make sure. But most of them are fleeing gang violence, more or less. The caravan's mostly made up of Hondurans with some Guatemalans, half of whom are reported by Vox, so take this with a grain of salt, but half of whom are reported to be women or children, many intending to seek asylum in the United States. So there's this big question. I was just in an argument with somebody about what asylum means. Traditionally, asylum is applied for political refugees. Mm-hmm. In their case, a lot of what they're running from is gang violence and just rampant, corrupt governments that won't do anything or are actively working with gangs in their home countries. So the gangs not being a recognized form of government are probably what's going to stop, under a Republican leadership, probably what's going to stop these people from receiving asylum. And the big fear is what's going to happen if they don't get asylum. You got a lot of fucking morons out there that are like, oh, I don't care. Immigration's fine. I love immigrants just as long as they do it legally, like my grandparents. This bullshit that people are on about that. And it's like, okay, well, these people are. Like, I know your politicians are scaring the fuck out of you by telling you that this is an invasion force marching through and sending our troops to the fucking border to defend against it. And I'm not saying that sending the troops is totally a bad idea, because hell, things could go bad. Maybe these are gang members mixed in with some women and children, and maybe they are concealing weapons, and they are going to try to something. Yeah. The point is, right now, it's a mass group of people whose stated intention is to come to the United States for legal asylum, to request legal asylum. And they have been posturing a little bit. I mean, of course, you get a group of 5,000 of anybody, there are going to be some assholes in that group that are going to be saying some stupid shit. You're going to have people that are just macho, like, this big machismo, like, oh, I'll fucking get in the United States if I want to. But any general or admiral or military thinker or just wise person in general should be able to see that those are few and far between. Yeah. Or if they're not few and far between, then I think our reporting is very lax. Because if there's evidence that if there were evidence that this was an actual invasion, what I look for, having been in the military, armed combatants identifying themselves with a uniform or identifying themselves with a gang. And these gangs, I mean, one of the follies of the gangs, one of the stupidest things I think that gangs do, they're all very serious about identifying yourself as being a member of this gang. So even if they're like trying to hide it, the Honduran government could be sending out, hey, by the way, these are gang members. Of course, again, like I said, the Honduran government is largely too corrupt or weak to do anything about these gang members, which is where I say, like, that traditional definition of asylum, I think, is not technically applicable to these people because we don't recognize the gangs they're fleeing as politically motivated. However, in a rational, wise way of looking at things, these gangs control the government, which is why these people are having to run. If the gangs didn't control the government, you wouldn't have a mass caravan of people walking through multiple countries to get to a safe place. Yeah. People are like, well, they can stay in Mexico, and it's like, yeah, how much better is that? I mean, you've got the fucking gangs in Mexico that are basically controlling shit as well. Yeah. And whatever, more power to them. Like, I don't think the United States needs to be the world's police. I don't think we need to be going in and trying to clean up gang violence in countries that we aren't directly responsible for. But at the same time, I have compassion for people who don't want to live in that, who don't want to have their families raised in that kind of environment. Yeah. Let them, like, I don't understand. If I see a neighbor running to my house for help with his entire family, maybe it's Thanksgiving Day and he literally has every member of his family in his home. If they all came running out of his house into my house, saying that there was someone trying to kill all of them or that there was someone in their house robbing them and they had no protection, I'm going to let them in the door. I'm going to at least let them in and call the police. You know, obviously it's different. Story. Yeah, the metaphor breaks down a little bit, you know, in that I can just call the cops and the cops will go investigate it. Yeah. International politics is a little bit more murky than that, but I'm going to at least let them in my yard. Like, they can go to my backyard and I can stand there and be like, okay, let me assess the situation. I'm not going to go grab my gun and point it at them while they're running to me for help. And that's where the metaphor is most potent, I think, because that's what the right seems to be trying to do. And I agree with the right on some cases where the left tries to redefine things and they just want to fling the gates open and we can't just have just free range, hey, everybody come over here because, yeah, I mean, you if you take a group of 5,000 people and inject them into any city in this country and they're all the same ethnicity, they all speak the same language, they've all got the same culture, and you put that in a concentrated group at any point in this country, it's going to impact the economy, the culture, the day-to-day life of everyone in that city to some extent. Mm-hmm. You can also, there's just so much better way to approach this, and that is to sit quietly and carry a big stick. I think it was Teddy Roosevelt that talked about that. Walk gently and quiet, but carry a big stick. And that's to say, yeah, let's have the troops down at the border, but not in this fucking fear, frenzy, panic thing, just as a precaution. Like, hey, you know, we're going to send some backup. They're down here. They're ready to go if something kicks off, but they're not specifically going down here to point guns at you. And if you throw a rock, we're not going to kill you, which is what's been said. You know, yeah. I don't know if it's just leftist media that's trying to overhype everything, but there have been some reports, and I'm using air quotes around reports, that Trump has authorized the use of lethal force on any provocation. Even just basic, if they throw a rock at you, shoot them. And I don't know what to believe. If that was Barack Obama they said that, I'd be like, I'm going to look into that a little bit more. With Trump, I don't fucking know. That motherfucker might have said it. And I hope and pray, and I'm fairly certain that the generals, whatever general or captain is in charge of this group, is going, all right, he might have said you can do that, but you can't do that. You know? Maybe. I don't know. I'm not there. I'm not active in this anymore. We sit in Alabama and run a podcast and get drunk on Saturday night, so I don't fucking know. But what I do know is that both sides are probably lying to their constituents.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, midterms are coming up. They're trying to get reelected. The more fear and panic, the better.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I'm getting monologue music here, but as a matter of fact, the impact this has had on the elections. Let me just read you these figures. This is from MSNBC. 4 days before the election. Of course, you know they do early voting. You can go in and vote early. So these were early votes in key states compared from 2014 to 2018. Votes that were in on 4 days prior to the election. Arizona, I'm just going to round these. Arizona had 724,000 in 2014. In 2018, Arizona's had 1,276,000.
Wow.
The next biggest jump, like the ones that really impressed me, Tennessee, our neighbor to the north, had 283,410 in 2014. And here in 2018, they currently have 1,294,507 votes.
You know, as sad as it is, I think a lot of that has to do with the whole Taylor Swift and what all she said about. I'm not saying that I agree nor disagree with what she's saying. I'm just simply stating that it's amazing that in this country a celebrity can have that much of an impact on the climate that we're living in.
Yeah. Well, the biggest jump by far. So Tennessee jumped up by 1 million votes.
Yeah.
Roughly. Texas. Proud of you, Texas. In 2014, they had 1,737,000 votes 4 days prior to the election. Currently, they have 4,736,000.
Wow.
So they literally jumped up by about 3 million voters.
Golly. All right, we need to move on.
Yeah.
Before we get too tied up in this one.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, this one's really a loosely formatted episode. I need to stop drinking liquor. So much. I was an alcoholic for a long time, for those of you listening that don't know that already. I was an alcoholic for 3 or 4 years, and I'm talking like to the point that I needed a drink in the morning, at lunch, in the afternoon, or I would start getting the shakes and want to throw up, or like it was just bad. And I overcame that on my own. I didn't go to AA. There wasn't a church involved. I didn't get locked up. I never got in any kind of trouble. It didn't really affect my work. It just was a thing I had. It was just a sickness, really. And I got over it. But we went camping, a
couple of weekends ago.
Yeah, a couple of weekends ago. And I kind of, after I got over the alcoholism, I kind of, got to where I was like, okay, well, I know my limits. I learned some coping mechanisms. Like, I learned to watch people, and I always drink with people. So, that, like, I'm watching, okay, he's had 2 beers. I'm going to drink 2 beers. I'm going to pace myself to the speed that he's drinking. That way, I don't just go nuts. And it worked for a long time. But then, like, we went camping. Fuck, dude. I brought, like, a bottle of Jack Daniels. And my goal was to, just get a little bit drunk. And I ended up being the only one drinking. And I didn't pace myself at all. I remember waking up the next morning, and I went to bed thinking, I'm going to use the rest of that Jack to start a fire in the morning. And I got up. I was the first one up, because when I get really drunk, I wake up at, like, the crack of dawn, and I'm just high energy till lunch, and then I pass out.
You also drank all night with a large-ass cricket in your cup.
Yeah, I took the last sip of the night, and I looked, and there was a goddamn cricket the size of my fist in the bottom of my solo cup, and I was like, it had to have been there most of the time, because it was dead. It died of alcohol. Yeah, very drunk cricket. So I woke up and I went and grabbed the bottle of Jack to pour it out and start the campfire, and there was no more Jack. And I was like, oh, fuck, I accidentally killed a whole bottle of Jack. And there's not a lot of people that can just accidentally kill a bottle of Jack. Like,
that wasn't a small bottle either.
No, it was a full-size bottle.
Yeah, it was, what, a liter?
Yeah, and then last night, we had our back porch crew thing, and I'm not going to mention any names, but we had a few people over, and this time at least there were some other people drinking with me. Unfortunately, the other person drinking with me was drinking as fast or faster than me, like what I would naturally do, not pacing myself. So we ended up killing another bottle of Jack, and then I broke into a bottle of Gentleman Jack that a friend had gave me, and we drank most of that bottle of Gentleman Jack as well. By the time y'all were going home, I was like leaning up against the wall.
Yeah, you were staggering pretty bad.
It was bad.
I was almost afraid to let you go up these 3 stairs and get back into your house.
Dude. And I don't and that's the problem. That's the first time I think I've really been blackout drunk in a long time. Because I don't remember. I remember telling you bye, but there are like spots of my memory throughout that night where I'm like,
did you ever get your sandwich, by the way?
I have no idea, man. No idea. I don't know if I ate. I don't know if I took a shit. I don't know anything. I don't know. I don't know how. And that's where, as we learned from the recent Supreme Court nominee, that's where shit can go really fucking wrong.
Yeah.
You know, like that's where you lose yourself. And before you know it, it's like every fucking day you need to get back to blackout because that's the only way you get to sleep or, whatever. And when you're a kid, I guess that's like a romantic, cool thing. Like, oh, dude, I got blackout drunk last night. It was so sick. Now it's like, dude, I'm a dad. I'm a husband. I got bills and shit. I can't do that shit, Fuck that. I need to know what happened.
That's a lot of reason why I don't drink a lot is because I don't know my limits. I know that I have a very, very high tolerance.
Yeah.
But once I hit that tolerance, it's drunk or sober. There is no in between with me. I don't get tipsy. I don't get lightheaded.
Right.
I'm either really far fucking gone or I'm completely sober.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, knowing your limits is key. That's why I just gotta quit drinking liquor. You told my wife, actually. So this is the benefits of having good friends. We were out there smoking before the show today, and you were telling my wife, like, don't let him buy more liquor.
Yeah, I mean, I'm worried about you, man.
Yeah, it's rough. Like, it's so fucking easy to slip back into that shit where it's just...
I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not that I am against drinking or smoking or whatever. I mean, shit, I fucking partake myself. But I'm very limited on what I do and do not do. And I think I've struck a very good balance. Like, I'll have a drink if I'm going to a party or two. But I'm still sober enough to where I drive home most of the time.
Yeah.
And, I mean, a lot of people just go and go and go and go until, well, like you were last night, they just get completely fucked up.
Stupid.
Yeah.
And useless. Like, if somebody broke into my house last night, I wouldn't have been able to do shit. I probably wouldn't even known it happened.
No.
I would have just woke up to my house being ransacked. My family could have been fucking killed. Like, it's just fucking irresponsible, honestly. And it's, I don't know. Like, the dichotomy there is I can realize that and say all this, and somebody might put a bottle of Jack in front of me, and I'll still kill it. And I'm like, oh, fuck. Like, the next day, I'm like, I knew I shouldn't do that. Why did I do it? And that's alcoholism. Like, that's the ghost of alcoholism, I guess. It's like once you've been there and you've really been an alcoholic, once you quit, and that's what I tell people that are trying to stop drinking so much. I'm like, once you quit, there's always going to be like a hole.
Yeah, and again, it goes back to the whole, if you want to partake. There's nothing wrong with it, but limit yourself.
Mm-hmm.
There's a very good reason that people with spotless records have those spotless records is because 9 times out of 10 they know, okay, if I have one more, I can't drive. If I have one more, I can't say goodnight to my kids. If I have one more, then I don't need to be around people. Otherwise, something stupid's going to happen.
Yeah.
And again, that's a lot of the reason why I don't allow myself to do that. And I don't really care for the taste of alcohol either, but that's just a personal thing.
Yeah, that's the bad part. Like, when you first start drinking, everybody tells you, like, oh, beer's an acquired taste, or liquor's an acquired taste. And yeah, they're not lying, it is. And once you acquire that taste, especially as an alcoholic, then you go to drink a Coke. Like, you go buy a gas, like, years after I got over being an alcoholic, I would go to a gas station and get a Coke. Mm-hmm. And like the first crack, when I first take that sip, I expected and was disappointed that it didn't have Jack in it. And I'm like, that's fucked up. Like, now I really want to drink. But yeah, it's one of the, I think I'm just going to fast. Like, I think I'm just going to, I do that every now and then. I'll just fast. Like, when I start getting out of control and I stop being able to limit myself, I'll just put a hard limit on literally everything. I don't know how healthy it is, but I'll be like straight up like, all right, I'm eating rice or potatoes, and that's it. No meat, no dairy, no fucking alcohol, no cigarettes, no nicotine, nothing.
I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Your body gets a cleanse as well. So.
Yeah, it cleanses my body, and it also, like, I mean, obviously, being a Buddhist, like, I believe that there's a lot of value to balance between body and mind. And if your mind is becoming unbalanced, one of the best ways to rebalance yourself mentally is to force yourself physically to balance out. Yeah. Because sometimes when you're unbalanced mentally, you can't. Like, it's just, you're not at the helm. That ship is just fucking running free, and you don't control it. And that's, I mean, alcoholism is a control thing. It's, once you give yourself over to that, that controls you. Trailer Park Boys, like, what was Leahy, Mr. Leahy? I am the liquor, Randy. It's the liquor talking. But,
and see, I get that way with food. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not that I can't lose weight if I try. It's a matter of I have a hard time with portion control. Mm-hmm. Like, I love food. I'm a fucking fat ass. I love fucking food.
Right.
Well, not fucking food. I love eating food. I mean,
I saw
would
that
probably
pie at your mom's house,
but
time,
you know. But I mean, that's the whole reason that I'm a fucking fat ass is because I like to eat. But I mean, that goes back to the whole trying to cut back, and you really need silence for fucking.
Yeah, I know, man.
That's
sorry.
super unprofessional.
It was crazy. Look, it's on silent. It's been on silent.
Oh wow.
It doesn't fucking care. I'm like, be quiet, and it's like, fuck you. I'm just gonna turn it off. Sorry.
But yeah, I mean, it's hard to find that balance whenever you just really enjoy something. Mm-hmm. So I mean, and it's not that you can't partake in whatever it is. It's just you need to find that stopping point.
Yeah. Well, I think there comes a point where you really can't. Like, you really cannot partake at all for at least a time. Yeah. Because if you're so weak, like me, like, I see this as weakness. So, like, for me, I don't like being weak. I don't like feeling weak. I'm not an alpha male type personality. I think that's obvious to anybody that knows me. I don't have to be in control, but I have to know that I'm in control of myself. Yeah. And especially after having been an alcoholic and seeing how out of control of myself I was and how I wasn't really in control at all, like, I hate that feeling. And, like, both mornings, the morning after we went camping, when we went to Cracker Barrel with my family and some of our friends that had went with us and their kids. And I told everybody, like, just sitting there at the table, like, you know what, that was fucked up. Like, I was weak. I can't let that shit control me. Like, I know it, you know, and I think any alcoholic does. Anybody that's caught, and not just alcoholism, but like drug addiction. Yeah. I haven't been addicted to drugs, so I can't speak to that directly, but I would imagine that most drug addicts.
Probably the closest I've ever came.
Cigarettes for sure. Cigarettes, like, even more so. Cigarettes are fucking terrible. They're way worse than alcohol addiction as far as the actual strength of the addiction.
Yeah, it's so fucking hard. And it's a fucking, like, it's unlike any other thing that I've ever experienced. And again, not ever been a drug addict, not ever been an alcoholic myself, but at the same time, I mean, I know that I'm addicted to cigarettes. I mean, there's just no way of getting around that. But with that being said, I mean, it's so hard to fucking stop. And I know a lot of people say that and say, oh, well, I stopped doing this method or I stopped doing that method. Well, over the years, I've tried every single fucking method that I could, and the only one that's actually semi-worked for me was just not buying any at all. Like, I'm sitting here with a vape right now, and, I mean, it helps, but as if the first time that I get a whiff of smoke and somebody else is smoking, first thing I do is ask them for a cigarette. Yeah. I mean, there's just no getting around it. And I hang out with smokers, and I know that I probably shouldn't for certain reasons. Yeah. But at the same time, I enjoy their company more.
Yeah. Yeah, smokers are good people, man. Now, I think, like, going back to what I was saying earlier about, control and weakness and shit is, just like you were saying, like, the best way to get away from the shit is to not expose yourself to it and to just not do it. Like, you just can't. My dad was a youth minister for a long time, and I hate this lesson for what it meant then, but I love the wisdom behind it and its application to, like, life without imagining there's a dude in the clouds watching everything I do. But the lesson originally, like the youth group lesson he used to teach was, don't get, if you go to the Grand Canyon, you don't run right up to the edge and lean out over it without holding on to something and just peer off the edge. Yeah. You want to get as close to it as you can so you get the view. And if you prepare yourself, you can get on the edge. You can rappel off of it if you've got the right gear, all this shit, right? But he was like, it's the same way with friends and life. Like, if you are tempted to do something, you don't just put yourself on the edge of that and just try to balance there with no preparedness or anything. You have to step away, and the ledge being having alcohol in your house, or having a pack of cigarettes in your pocket, or being around people who you know are going to smoke when you're trying not to smoke. And it's not that they're wrong for smoking, because if it's not controlling them, same thing with drinking, like you were saying, it's not that they can't partake.
Yeah.
It's that you have to know when you can't.
Yeah.
And you have to limit yourself. Because if you don't, no one's going to limit you. It doesn't matter how much they love you, how much they try to limit you. If you're letting that take control, you're going to start jumping over hurdles. You're going to start breaking through boundaries and barriers. You're going to start crossing lines and ending relationships. It's going to get crazy.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I mean. The thing that stopped me from being an alcoholic was my wife sitting me down and being like, look, if you don't change, I'm leaving. And my wife, like, I love her above anything in the world. I know I make a lot of jokes and I talk to her like I don't give a fuck or whatever, but like genuinely, I love her. I don't know what I would do without her. And like that was my wake up call. And luckily I had that bond. Not everybody does. Sometimes those, women will say that and either the alcohol's got too much control of you or you didn't really love them in the first place or whatever. But, I just happened to care about someone enough to stop myself.
That would be a wake-up call, especially coming from your wife. She's super easygoing.
Yeah, super patient and
yeah.
loving and caring, and like it is really hard to push her past her limits. But I mean, being the whole time she was pregnant with our first kid, I was just a full-on fucking alcoholic. And granted, I was going through a lot of shit. I mean, that was a rough time in my life in general. I'm not going to go into everything about it, but yeah, it was super rough. And I just did. I was too young and stupid to know better, and I just gave up control and whatever, and I was really fucking weak. And I'm not that weak person anymore. And I know I'm not that weak person because when I wake up after a night like that, instead of being like, oh, that was fun, and thinking about the good memories, I'm thinking, oh, shit, I shouldn't have been so fucking weak. No. Like, I gotta get stronger than that. Fuck that shit. So, I mean, Back Porch Crew, I'm never gonna stop that shit. I love the Back Porch Crew. I'm just gonna have to spend probably this next week fasting, keeping myself from any kind of pleasure, sustenance wise, entertainment wise, things like that, until I toughen up enough to where I can be like, okay, I'm having 2 fucking beers and that's it.
Well, I mean, you know that I don't drink a whole lot, so I mean, if you still want to hang out,
yeah,
you're more than welcome to.
Yeah, I just get, like, and that's the other thing about alcoholism, like, I was talking about that hole, and by the way, we're not talking about fucking moving. This podcast has turned into alcoholism. We'll redo that intro, but that hole, that once you've been an alcoholic, and you stop, there's a hole there, and it's like an emotional hole that you can't fill. Like, it just doesn't go away. Like, when you get drunk, after being an alcoholic and walking away from it, when you get drunk that first time again, you just feel like yourself. It's like you took medicine and now you're that person you know.
That goes into the whole AA thing. Like, I know a lot of programs like that work fantastically, but the way that those work, from my understanding, again, never been to an AA meeting myself, but from just hearing everybody else talk about it that has been, they take one addiction and change it over into a new one.
Yep.
Usually some sort of religion or God-based thing, especially down here in the South.
Yeah.
But that's the way that they do it, is they take one addiction, namely alcoholism or Narcotics Anonymous,
right,
with drugs, and then they completely change it over into, well, you got to fill that hole. You have to plug that hole with something. And I mean, that's really and honestly one of the only ways to get over it, is to find something else to enjoy, to plug it.
I think it's definitely,
at least temporarily.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a very helpful way to get over it. I don't know that it's one of the only ways, because like I said myself, I got over it and I just learned to embrace that fact. Like, I use that hole. I don't want to fill it. I want that to be empty, because I want to remember when I feel that emptiness, or when I take that drink and I start to feel like myself, I love being, and that's where the strength part of it comes in. It's like, I would rather suffer for what I did and pay that price now.
Yeah.
And in my normal day-to-day life, and remember constantly, like, hey, there's this beast you know, I'm not getting religious here. I don't believe in demons or angels, but there is a demon out there. And not in a metaphorical sense, but like a legitimate demon that if I choose to embrace will take over my life.
Yeah.
Again, like if I don't make the right choices, and if I didn't have that hole there to remember, I mean, like, yeah, you're right. You know, I could replace it with God. I could become a Christian, and I could fill that hole with going to church and all this shit. But then all of that would be empty because I'm not serving God out of a need or desire to actually serve Him.
No,
I'm just running from a demon.
Yeah, you're
that
just
I'm not strong enough to face.
Hole.
Right. I'm running from a demon that I'm not strong enough to face down myself.
Yep.
And that's where I talk about like that strength is so important to me. It doesn't fill the hole. It just allows me to leave it open and remember, hey, you feel this way because you fucked up and let that take over one time. And if you give into it, it'll take over again. And its hole's just going to keep getting fucking bigger every time you let it do it. So it's like, all right, well, I know I suffer some from having that hole now, but if I give in and make the hole even bigger, either I'm going to die an alcoholic and lose everybody I love, or I'm going to widen that hole when I eventually come back to reality, and I'm going to suffer even more in the day-to-day with a bigger hole that's even harder to fill, you know? But, yeah, like, I remember when I first came out of the Navy, I probably went 4 or 5 months without getting drunk. Like, I got drunk the day I got out, of course, but after that, I cut myself off, and I didn't get drunk for a long time. And my depression got bad, and then one day I was hanging out with a buddy, and we got drunk, and I think I even said to him, like, I could feel it the second it hit me, and I'm just like, oh, this is me, man. Like, this is who I am. Like, and I'm sure you noticed last night, because I normally don't get completely plastered at our back porch crew meeting, but last night I was, by the time you guys got here, and, you know, I can kind of remember feeling more myself and being way more outgoing, and I'm telling stories that I tell sober in a more reserved manner, but like when I'm drunk I'm getting animated with it, and I'm like doing facial expressions. It takes
you like 15 minutes to tell a 3-minute story.
Yeah, and but I'm embellishing. Like I start doing what I would do in high school, like the person that I was in high school, where I'm like over the fucking top, and like I have people rolling laughing, and I'm like, you know, and then I think back on it, I'm like, oh shit, that was me. Like that's who I am. And then I don't have the alcohol, and there's that hole there, and I'm like, oh, I can't really be that person. I'm way more reserved now because I'm so conscientious, I guess, about what I look like or how I'm coming across or whatever. But that's why I drink on the show a lot, but I've stopped doing that. I don't think I've had I had a beer last episode.
You had a beer, yeah,
but I haven't been drunk for any of the recordings this year. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just life shit. I mean, that's what Let's Talk Nonsense is about. You know, we're trying to get more formatted and stuff. We're talking with another person about coming on the show. Still trying to figure out editing and stuff like that. But I mean, things have been a little bit disorganized. But I'm just glad. I'm happy that we're getting here. I feel like the talks we're having are real.
Yeah.
And I hope that they're helping somebody. I know I definitely talked to a few people that, you know, on the last episode they had listened in and talked to me a little bit about what they were feeling and thinking about that kind of stuff. But we've had a little bit of interaction on the Facebook page. So if you're listening to this and you went and commented on the Facebook page, thank you. If you're listening to this and you haven't done that yet, go fuck yourself. No, but for real, please come interact with us. We need more conversations with people that we can fuel more legitimate conversations in the show and not have to worry so much about structure and then let things just evolve as they will. Because I like this, man. Like I like... You know, I mean, legitimately, we showed up to talk about moving. We didn't have much planned. We smoked a cigarette. We came in here and sat down in front of the mic, and the conversation just happened to get real about addiction and shit like that. And I think it kind of flows a little bit. It's not comedy, which is what we set out to do with the show, but I think it flows pretty well with our last episode on suicidal thoughts and shit. And these things feed into each other, you know, like it's a cycle. You know, alcoholism or addiction of any kind, even cigarettes, inherently change your personality.
Oh yeah.
And that change in personality can be difficult to deal with, and if you throw depression or anxiety on top of that and you let those two, they will create a feedback loop. You'll start smoking because you're anxious, and you'll start getting more anxious because you smoke too much and your lungs hurt. And
well, that's actually how I started. Well, one of whenever I actually started smoking, I mean, don't get me wrong. Whenever I was younger, you know, people would be like, "Hey, man, you want to try cigarettes? Cool thing to do." And I'd be like, "Oh, hell yeah, let's do it."
Yeah.
But I mean, for the most part, the reason that I started smoking was because I got not completely drunk, but I mean, I was pretty far gone at a buddy's house whenever I was I don't know, 18, 19, somewhere through there. You know, like right before turning 21, and he was like, "Yeah, man, you want to step outside for a cigarette?" And I was like, "Well, I ain't got none right now." And of course, I mean, it was just one of those things. Like you start smoking more the more that you go to parties and shit, and I mean, you just pick it up, and you don't mean to. You just kind of fall into that. Now, granted, I had been dipping for most of my life by that point.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's the fucking South, and everybody fucking has a chew in every day.
Right.
So I mean, I'd already been doing that a lot, but
some of the advice that I regret not taking the most was at the end of boot camp, which I was like you know, high school I smoked mostly Swisher Sweet cigarillos. Yeah. I'd go get those.
Black and Mild.
I like Black and Mild as well. I smoked some of that, and you know, it was just that, and every now and then I get a pack of actual cigarettes, and they'd last me like 2 months, and I'd have to squirrel them away somewhere and hide them. And
so your dad wouldn't find it.
Although, dude, when he came up to Virginia the first time after I got out of boot camp, and I walked out holding a Still Reserve and smoking a cigarette in a tank top, he's like, "I didn't know you did any of that." I was like, "Dad, my truck bed had beer cans in it, and my ashtray in my truck was filled with cigarette butts." He goes, "Well, I just thought that was your friends." And I was like, "Wow, all right, welcome back to Let's Know." But anyway, the advice I regret not taking the most was at the end of boot camp. Our RDCs came out, and they were like, "Look, when you get to the airport, this is going to be the first time you're going to make a decision on your own in 2 months. We've broken you down. We've taken away all your civilian mentality, and we've replaced it so that you can be an effective sailor in the United States Navy. In the process of breaking all that down, you might notice that you haven't had any tobacco products. No one in this building has had any tobacco products for 2 solid months now. By all medical reasonability and research, you are not addicted to tobacco right now. Nicotine is not in your system, and you don't need it."
Yeah.
So when you get to this airport and you get to make your first choice, don't let that first choice be to get re-addicted to nicotine if you were before, or to start a fucking nicotine addiction now. And I was like, yeah, fuck that. I'm gonna go get me cigarettes.
Man.
And sure enough, man, that was the first thing I did. I got to that airport, I bought me a pack of cigarettes, walked to the USO in the little smoking area, and had me probably about a half a pack of cigarettes.
God damn.
Just sitting there waiting on a plane. And got to Virginia Beach and got more cigarettes. And back then, you could get the cigarettes on base completely tax-free. So they were like $2 a pack.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. So I was like, fuck yeah. I had no money. I had no friends. I was in a new place. I was stressed out. The one thing I knew was that there was a smoke deck with a bunch of other people smoking, and those people tend to be all right. So I went and got me sucking cigarettes and made most of my first friends in the Navy on a smoke deck. And there were people in the Navy, man, there are people that don't even smoke that will still go out to the smoke deck just to get the political connections. Because you might be out there smoking with a commander. I mean, it's one smoke deck. Everybody goes out to smoke at it. It's not like they have officer and enlisted split up at those things. So it's like, it's a good place to fucking talk to people. It's a good place to figure out what's going on. If somebody's about to get fucked over, what's happening. Get advice on the ship when you're trying to get all your shit signed off and whatever. You can walk down to this, like, if you're not a smoker, and you never go on the smoke deck, you got to walk all over this damn carrier, talking to individual people. You got to buy Monster energy drinks, bribe them basically to sign off your stuff and teach you shit that you need to know to get warfare qualified. As a fucking smoker, you can just walk down to the smoke deck at 20-minute intervals, like every 20 minutes, pop in there and be like, "Hey, I need to get this, this, and this signed off. Anybody here do that?" And sure enough, 9 times out of 10, there's going to be someone from some department that you need signed off in that smoke deck that's able to sign it. And they'll do it for a cigarette. That's a lot fucking cheaper than a Monster energy drink. So, like, yeah, there was no hope for me. Like, if I had listened, maybe, but there was just no hope. Once I bought that 1 pack of cigarettes, that was done, so.
Yeah, that's how it starts, man.
It's shitty. Cigarettes are the worst because it's like trying to come off of them. You might fuck up your whole life.
Yeah, because you'll get really fucking bitchy at everybody. Snap it in. The first person that looks at you wrong in the morning, and you're just, go the fuck away. I'm done with you. I mean, just cussing them out one side and down the other just because you're having those nicotine withdrawals.
And then me and you, we're both dumbasses.
Yeah.
That don't help nothing.
Nah.
We vape, and we'll sit, every time we hang out, we'll sit in here and vape in the house, and we'll take a drag off a vape, blow out the smoke, and be like, you want to go smoke? And go out on the porch and have a cigarette, and come back in and keep vaping.
Yeah,
vaping just enabled me to have something in my lungs 24/7.
Yeah. Yeah, I've about decided that if there was a room full of smoke over here and a room that was completely just pure oxygen with a little bit of whatever the fuck else we breathe, I would probably just walk into the room full of smoke just to have that in my lungs.
Yeah.
Because I'm a fucking dumbass.
Yeah. No, and that's basically what we're doing. We're just killing ourselves slowly.
Yeah.
It's fucking stupid. We gotta get over that shit. Maybe we should have let's talk nonsense addiction breaking cycle where we just don't smoke or drink.
Hey, no lie though, I did tell the chick that I hang out with all the fucking time, I was like, look, your kids are begging you to stop smoking. You're about to be put on a budget because you're losing your Pell Grant.
Yeah, she's getting fucked financially just like I am.
Yeah, shit's just happening. So you need to start by whittling down the things in life that are not needed.
Yeah.
Such as smoking or excessive eating out, stuff like that.
Well, fucking Joe Rogan, who any podcaster would look up to.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just the success story of podcasting. They do Sober October. And I always thought that was pretty cool. Of course, now they've got way better resources than we have. I mean, they're going to like LA fucking health spas and shit and relaxing. But my favorite comedian in the world, Doug Stanhope, just recently participated in Sober October. And I remember looking at him and going, if that motherfucker, who I've read his autobiography, he hung out with Mitch Hedberg all the way up until Mitch Hedberg died of drug overdoses.
Yeah.
In his book, he's talking about, I don't know if I'll ever quit smoking, and his mom died of like emphysema, and she was smoking to the bitter end, and like, but he did Sober October and stayed sober through it, and didn't smoke cigarettes, didn't drink, and I was like, you know what, if that motherfucker can do it, I could probably do it. I don't want to rip off Sober October, but I mean, at the same time,
how you bring this up now that we're in November, like beginning of November.
Well, I just now started becoming an alcoholic again. Frominator. Anyway, I mean, would you be down? Would you want to do what can we call it? I don't want to just, on one hand, I don't want to rip off Joe Rogan, and I don't feel like I am because I'm giving him credit right here. Like, this was his idea. Clearly, I'm not, at the same time, I don't want to rip him off. I also feel like if he were sitting here listening to this, he'd be like, yeah, dude, rip me off. Like, go sober. Like, yeah, that's good. Do that. You know, and we're not doing it for views. It's legitimately like an idea I just had. But would you be down?
I mean, there's already no nut November, no shave
Fuck
November.
That shit. Well, no shave November I'm down with, but the no nut November is fucking horseshit. Fuck that.
Fuck that.
I can't even do that, I'm pretty sure. I don't know. It's been a long time since I've had a wet dream, but I'm pretty sure if I purposely tried to withhold any kind of release, I would
suck.
I would just end up washing sheets every day.
Yeah, I was about to say, especially with a wife as hot as yours is.
Yeah, for real. Like, yeah, that's the thing. Like, I can't fucking do that. That's off the table for me. But we could do Decent December. Where we try to be decent people for a month.
Fuck that.
Yeah.
No, I mean, shit, I'd be down. I mean, does that include vaping or no?
I don't know. I mean, it really should, because the nicotine is the real addiction there.
Could just drop down to 0.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you could drop down. We'll just drop to 0% nicotine.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I know I'm addicted to the nicotine too, but a lot of mine's still just the hand to mouth,
tactile addiction. Yeah.
I mean, it's.
I think that's fair. We drop it to 0% nicotine so that we're just doing the tactile, like weaning ourselves off. I think that'd be fair. Just no alcohol, no overeating.
Bitch.
Yeah. Well, the no alcohol is hard for me. No overeating would probably be hard for you. I already only eat one. I eat 1 meal a day. I'm still a fat ass, and it's probably because I eat 1 meal a day. My metabolism stays low. But I do. Like, I eat... Because I can't go in the kitchen, like we were talking about last time with depression and shit. I can't go in the kitchen unless there's another adult human here. And 80% of my day is spent with me and my daughter here. So, like, I just get her food and drinks where she can reach them and bring them in there for me to fix for her in the living room.
Yeah.
But I can't go in the kitchen. So, like, I don't wake up in time to get breakfast. And then I just walk through the kitchen to the living room, sit down, do my shit, go out in town, do whatever. I've got no money. You know this. So I'm not eating out in town. So it's like I eat when Courtney comes home and we fix supper.
Yeah.
That's my 1 meal a day. So I have no problem not overeating. I've actually got a problem under eating probably. But, yeah, no alcohol, no nicotine, and no overeating. I think that would be a good...
I could do that.
We'll have to talk to our other co-hosts because I don't know if they'll be down for it. But me and you can do it anyway. I mean, fuck it. Man, fuck they don't want to, they don't have to. But. Hey guys, Caleb here. We're actually editing at the moment, and I have Kaysarian here with me editing, and we just wanted to give him a voice since he didn't make it for the actual recording, but also talk a little bit about Decent December. What do you think, man?
It sounds like a really good idea to me. It's something that I would definitely be interested in doing. It shouldn't be too terribly hard. So you're wanting to do no alcohol, no overeating. We talked about that a little bit amongst ourselves. I don't really have a problem with that either. I probably undereat about like you do. But you said no nicotine?
Yeah, that's the hard part.
So for the entire month of December.
That's the part all three of us are going to be helping each other through.
Yikes. I'll definitely give it a shot. What's going to be our punishment for like if we don't succeed?
I think I don't know, and I didn't really get to talk to Frominator about it. You know, we didn't really design a punishment as much as we just kind of made a pact to do it. But I don't know. We might could talk about that on the next episode, just like what the punishment's going to be, because we've got all of November to design the whole thing. But
the punishment is the hot sauce video.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. That's a video that we've been talking about doing for the channel here for a little while now. So anyway, yeah, we just wanted to check in and let everybody hear Kaysarian's point of view on that there. But
let me have an actual voice this time since I kind of had some stuff come up and had to miss the last session.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks. We'll try it.
Shit, like I said. I mean, that will be the one that will be toughest for me will be the nicotine.
Really?
I think so.
Mm. See, you start getting an appetite back once you stop smoking, though.
Yeah, that's true.
That's going to get rough.
Yeah.
On both of us. I'm going to be sitting here at lunch like, holy shit, I need a sandwich. It's going to get rough. We'll try it. We'll see how long we make it. And we'll just we'll go on the honor system. You know, I'll check up on you and like ask you how you're doing, but I'm not going to like enforce it. So if you end up fucking up,
I already need to go on a diet anyway, so I'm good with that.
Well, I guess we're just about at that time, aren't we?
Yeah.
I guess we should probably go ahead and wrap up. But there you have it, folks. We're going to go, at least Frominator and myself are going to go for Decent December. That gives us a month to enjoy our vices. Well, not so much me with the alcohol, but it'll give me a month to enjoy eating what I want to eat when I want to eat it and smoking. And then when December gets here, we'll try to get better, I guess. I don't know how successful we're going to be, but we'll give it a shot. You got anything you want to say before we sign off, man?
No, I think I'm good, man.
All right. Kaysarian, we missed you. And unnamed possible guest host, we look forward to having you on. Hopefully we're going to break 1,000 downloads this time. And if we do, like I said, I'll at least get on a fucking mic. Even if nobody else shows up, I'll get on a mic and talk. But hopefully I can get everybody here for a special episode. We've been talking about doing a possible premium episode. We just qualified for that where we can charge money for episodes. And I don't like doing that because we don't put a whole lot of production value into our free episode. But I think for the premium episode, we might just try and record the Back Porch Crew. And
I think that'd be funny as shit because, I mean, a lot of our conversations out there are just I mean, they have me rolling. I mean, y'all motherfuckers might not find it funny, but I do.
Yeah. Well, and the problem there is Fro doesn't want to be on camera.
Fuck that.
And I feel like a lot of body language is used to make the things as funny as they are.
I mean, I would be okay with y'all using the, that black block that y'all was talking about doing.
Yeah.
Over me. I'd be okay with that.
Well, I thought about just doing like a fence. You know Wilson from Tool Time?
Yeah.
Do like the fence and just put it right over your face. So it's just like your eyes looking at everybody. But yeah, I mean, we could try it. We're going to work on it, but let us know, for the love of God, fucking interact with us. Please, we're begging you. Let us know if that would be interesting to you. I don't know what to charge for these episodes. Of course, all the money that was made on that is going to be used to better the show and increase production quality. And the hard thing with producing a show like this, none of us are making money. And you might notice, like, we make these plans, like, oh, we're going to do Shot of News, we're going to do all this. It's hard to motivate people to put in effort for something that they're not really getting any return from. I mean...
Even just words would work. I mean, we're not begging for money. Well, please send me money.
Yeah, we do need money. But yeah, even just the interaction that make us feel like we're not shouting into the void. Because we're getting 50, 60 downloads an episode. I know people are downloading us. I know people are listening. We wouldn't still be on Apple Podcasts and Google Play Music if no one was listening. Mm-hmm. But find us at letstalknonsense.podbean.com. You can comment directly on that website. You can find us at facebook.com/letstalknonsense1. You might get a hold of us on Twitter. I check that every now and then. Really, your best bet is either the website at Podbean or just on our Facebook page. But we're open. Anyone's welcome. If you disagree with us, come disagree with us on Facebook. I'd love to talk it out. The little bit of interaction we have been having is one dude was totally agreeing, and we had a conversation about how much we agreed about what we were talking about. Another dude on a different post was completely disagreeing, like vehemently disagreeing. And you can go look on our webpage. No one attacks him. No one's calling him stupid. No one's telling him to get the fuck out or not to talk. Or we give a platform to anybody that wants to express their ideas, because in my mind, that's what Let's Talk Nonsense is about. Yeah, it's all nonsense. No one in here is a fucking UN Security Council advisor. We don't fucking know, and you don't either. We're all dummies. Let's just get together and talk about how we see things, and maybe we can learn why you see things the way you do, and not just who's on my side. Because I hate echo chambers. But anyway, there's my rant. I don't even know if we'll do monologue music on this one, because this was mostly just me and you talking, like an actual conversation. And if we do monologue music, I feel like it's going to be on both of us for a lot of the time. More so me.
I was going to say mostly you.
Mostly me. But, yeah. Anyway, that's been Let's Talk Nonsense, guys. Thanks for listening.
See you guys.
I think that went well.
Totally off topic.